Biden's first official State of the Union is now in the books, and as expected, it was an unmitigated, predictable disaster. Platitudes, bumper stickers, slogans, you name it, filled with smoke and mirrors, detached from reality, seemingly written, to be honest, by a kid in kindergarten, maybe first grade, if we're being generous, delivered by someone in a steep mental decline. He failed to acknowledge his Afghan failure. He failed to acknowledge his border failures. He failed to mention his failures on COVID. By the way, how did we run out of tests around Christmas? How come we ran out of monoclonal antibodies over Christmas? He failed to acknowledge that he caused this inflation because of his economic and energy policies. He failed to say the main sanction that would have worked on Putin, which is, yes, energy. No imports, no exports of Russian energy, but he refuses to do so. Instead, as I said, bumper stickers, slogans, platitudes, cliches. And to be honest, I would have preferred to watch the president of Ukraine, who is now bravely fighting and leading a war against this Russian invasion. And tonight, if the world was looking for any American leadership, they didn't get it from Joe Biden. This speech defined America last, not America first. And by the way, Joe lied over and over and over again. We can start with jobs. Take a look.
That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
That is a flat-out lie. Under Biden, the U.S. is down 3 million jobs. We're not up. And here's another lie from Biden. Take a look.
Under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes. Not a single penny.
He's been telling that lie since he became president, but according to the analysts, Biden's spending and tax plans will definitely impact those making under $400,000 a year. And we're not even factoring Biden inflation, which is, well, impacting the poor and the middle class the most in this country. That's right. You're paying more to fill up your car, paying more to heat and cool your home, and you're paying more for every product you buy at every store you go to. And get this, we're now at a 40-year high for inflation. Joe didn't mention that tonight. And according to studies from the Wharton School of Business and the Congressional Budget Office, inflation is costing the typical American family upwards of $5,000 a year, and that number continues to rise. That would be a tax on the poor and the middle class. But tonight, Joe's genius solution to inflation, just spend more money and encourage businesses to lower their costs. Oh, okay, Joe, thanks for the help.
Too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Pure fantasy from the mind of a career politician who clearly does not understand simple, basic economics 101 or business. And to that end, Joe Biden just basically all night, Bret Baier nailed it. He repackaged Build Back Broke Better Socialism tonight, and he hoped that nobody would notice. Take a look.
Let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump.
What Joe didn't tell you, he has put more restrictions on exploration and energy extraction than any president in the modern era. You see it because gas prices are shooting through the roof. They have nearly doubled in the last year. But guess what? New tax credits for electric cars. Great. Biden just bragged about releasing oil from the strategic reserve. And as Joe Manchin said, it is a gimmick at best, will do nothing to curb the prices in any significant way. So make no mistake, Biden's socialist Green New Deal energy plans, they're fraudulent at best. Biden is not making America greener or safer. Instead, he's restricting domestic production of oil and gas. That lowers the world supply of energy. And as the demand remains constant or increases, that just increases the price. And you know what? Every American knows it. And meanwhile, he's outsourcing our energy industry to countries that, by the way, have no EPA, countries that hate America. He's begging OPEC, even Russia, and trying to make a deal with Iran and importing, let's see, 232 million barrels of oil from Russia last year, 1 million barrels of oil from Iran last year, over 600 million barrels of oil from OPEC last year, when we have more natural resources than all of those countries combined. And under Biden, America's crude oil imports from Russia actually doubled. And tonight, despite Putin's ongoing invasion, in spite of his war crimes, the U.S. continues to import 500,000 barrels of oil every single day from Russia. Now, we could produce this oil and gas right here at home. And by the way, he inherited America energy independent and a net exporter of energy. We could be helping our NATO and Western European allies. But Biden put a new pause on oil and gas leases on America the same day that Russia invaded Ukraine, the same exact day. That's why Biden's comments on Ukraine tonight were totally impotent and meaningless. And frankly, I would have heard from President Zelensky, who has shown nothing but courage and bravery in Ukraine. Take a look.
We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
Joe, they're Ukrainians, they're not Iranians. America, the world, needs a leader, not a grandpa who is up way past his bedtime. And get this, only moments ago, Biden actually was scolding the American people for using COVID-19 as a political wedge. Take a look.
You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans.
Yeah, remember 2020, Biden ran on a promise he'd shut down the virus. And in 2021, we had more people dead from COVID than 2020. Remember, Joe demanded President Trump resign after 400,000 Americans died from COVID-19. Since he's been president, over 540,000 Americans have died from COVID under his watch. That's a lot more than Donald Trump. And by the way, after Biden ran out of tests, monoclonal antibodies, antivirals, when we needed them the most around Christmas time, and all of a sudden, Joe no longer wants to play, politics with COVID-19. Okay, Joe. A contributing factor to Biden's COVID crisis is America's wide open borders. On that issue, he failed miserably also, and he failed to mention that tonight. Border Patrol made a record 1.9 million arrests at the border under Biden. Of course, we had process and release, no more stay in Mexico, no more building the wall. We have no idea how many millions were not apprehended, but we do know that around 500,000 illegal immigrants were released into the U.S., and they were given free transportation all over the country and preferential treatment. They didn't need COVID tests because Jen Psaki told us they weren't going to be here very long. Really? Then we had the overcrowded cages of Joe Biden in the middle of a pandemic. There was no vaccine mandate for illegal immigrants. No tests whatsoever. But now a midterm, conversion or election year conversion, as we call them. And all of a sudden, Biden wants to secure the border. He also suddenly wants to fund, not defund, the police. After 2 years of defund, dismantle, no bail laws, Joe's decided to turn around, do a complete 180. Take a look.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
Why didn't you say that when it would have mattered in the summer of 2020 when dozens of Americans died, thousands of American police were hurt, with bricks, rocks, bottles, Molotov cocktails, billions of dollars in property damage, arson and looting, a truly amazing election year conversion if ever there was one. And it's no surprise after Democrats attempted to defund, dismantle, no bail laws, that police departments are reporting violent crime is spiking, especially in every major American city. 12 major cities just set an all-time high for murder. Great job, Joe. And tonight you might have noticed something interesting. Biden did not mention any accomplishments, none whatsoever, because there are none. A barrel of oil tonight is at $107 per barrel. Inflation is at a 40-year high. Crime is spiking. We still have open borders. We still have record-setting COVID deaths. No real mention at all of Afghanistan, where he abandoned Americans. People with American green cards are Afghan allies. And guess what? It's day 199. Americans held behind enemy lines. And Joe just turned the page. The media mob has turned the page as well. And as for that unity that Joe promised last year, according to a recent poll, more Americans say Biden is dividing the country and he's rather than unifying the country. And according to a Georgetown survey, voters say politics is less civil 1 year into this Biden term. So instead of listing accomplishments, that usually kind of happens during a State of the Union, Biden just read off a wish list of far-left socialist proposals that they've made before, everything from entitlements to solar panels. And even David Axelrod, top Democrat under Obama, he had to tweet out, quote, "It's hard to avoid making a State of the Union sound like a laundry list. The tide did not turn tonight." For once, I agree with David Axelrod. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.